Hey church, Pastor Jared here, coming to you with a midweek reminder that our First Testament sermon series comes to a conclusion on Sunday. We've been working our way through the First Testament all summer long since the beginning of June. We've talked about it as the First Testament and not just the Old Testament because it's still relevant. It's not obsolete. It's still God's word for us today. And I've been thinking and praying about how to conclude this series. I've got to say, it's been a bit of a challenge. How to end a series on the First Testament. And it's been a challenge because in many ways, the First Testament is a story that ends without an ending. It ends without an ending. It's a promise in search of a fulfillment. It's a story without a conclusion, which can be kind of frustrating. You know, if you were reading through some big book and the last 100 pages were missing, that'd be pretty frustrating. I remember back in the day with VCRs and VHS tapes that I'd have a show as a kid that I wanted to watch and recorded, and somebody had taped over that last part of the show, and I was wondering what was going to happen next, and I couldn't watch it on YouTube or Netflix. We didn't have those things, but it's this idea of what's going to happen next. What happened? I didn't know. I wonder if the Israelites at the end of the First Testament times had that feeling too. What's going to happen next? What is God going to do? We know that the people of Judah had returned from exile. They were in Judah. They rebuilt the city walls. They rebuilt the temple. In some ways, they had an ending to their story. But so much of the First Testament had these big promises, these big prophecies of what God was going to do, and those hadn't been fulfilled yet. You know, promises and prophecies about things like resurrection, of God bringing new life to the people, of promises of forgiveness of sins, and of a new exodus, not just for God's people, but for all the nations. And of course, promises of God's people being given a new heart and a new spirit so that they could follow God finally, faithfully, and be a light to the nations. Promises and prophecies about a new heavens and a new earth, and of a new leader, a new king in the line of David, a Messiah. These great, big, grand prophecies that aren't fulfilled at the end of the First Testament. That's why I say it's a story that ends without an ending. It's a tough thing to see, that it's a story that ends without an ending. Even after 39 books, right? Even after thousands of years of God working in history, there's this story that ends without an ending. And the people, I'm sure, were wondering, what is God going to going to do next? And what's going to happen next? As we get ready to wrap up this series, you join us on Sunday, and you'll see that the fulfillment, spoiler alert, happens in Jesus. It has to do with Jesus. And we're going to talk about the First Testament finding fulfillment in Jesus on Sunday. But until then, I want you to reflect on this First Testament story, a story that ends without an ending, and reflect on your life as well. What are the things going on in your life where you haven't seen that ending yet, where you're waiting to see what is God going to do, what's going to happen next in your personal life, or as we all deal with this pandemic? What is God going to do next? What does God have for us? How is he going to fulfill his promises? My message to you is to know that God's not done yet. Hold on, because God's not done yet. He's not done with you. He's not done with me. He's not done with your loved ones or with our world, his creation. God is not done yet. Hold on to see what God's going to do. Well, folks, we got Bible study tonight, Zoom at 7 p.m. You can join us, message our page for details. And then Sunday, 10 a.m. service. See many of you in person and some of you online as well. Grace and peace, God's blessings for you.